Hello everyone, so this is Ryan. I'm making a video for TNRC Commander Try to Aim. I'm kind of in collaboration with this guide for anybody that wants to watch the video. It just pretty much sums up everything that he said, and I have agreed with most of the things that he has said within his guide. So, Sejong, or Korea Scholars of the Jade Hall. So +2 science for all specialists and for all great percentile improvements. Receive a tech boost each time a scientific building or wonder is built in the Korean capital. So I mean that pretty much equates to you are going to be a scholastic, impressive person. So the two special units is going to be the turtle ship and the Hwacha. I might be pronouncing those wrong, so please do forgive me if I did pronounce those wrong. So I'm gonna go and show you the Civilopedia of his units, and don't worry, I will actually go and show you the some kind of gameplay sort of for him, so that way you can see some of the stuff. Oh, let's see, Korea, there we go. So the turtle ship's going to cost you 120 production. He's a naval melee unit. Combat strength is 36, movement of 4, and he is a replacement for the caravel. So you are able to move around with this guy, but the issue is that I don't know. There's other ships in the game that tend to do better than this, and this is more or less just for a defensive unit. I mean, his abilities is that he cannot enter deep ocean, which is a huge awful thing, because the caravel is supposed to take you and excel you across the sea, and you're supposed to see many things, no pun intended. So it's, I don't know, it makes it tough for games where seafaring is very important early on to mid-game. And then the other special unit is the Hwacha. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. So the cost is 120 production, 240 faith. He's a siege weapon. His combat of 11 strength. Its range combat is 26, the range is 2, the movement of 2. His abilities are he cannot attack melee units, there's no defensive terrain bonuses, and he must set up prior to ranged attack. It's going to replace the trebuchet. It's rather a really good unit. Again, as Korea, you're not going to be wanting to fight every single person that you see, and that's a given. And this is a special unit that is not meant to be fought with. Same thing with the turtle ship. Both are very good units to defend with and keep your science to yourself. Obviously you're going to want to put spies in your own capital and not have them set up somewhere else in other people's spots, because you should be leading technologically and you're going to want to protect what you've got. So in the next segment here I'm going to show you the social policies. Before I show you any social policies here, I'm just going to show you the lay of the land. What you kind of expect is Korea. Now, normally you aren't going to spawn in jungle necessarily, and more of the time you're going to be in kind of like a plains, mountainous, wintry mix sort of deal, just because of their location. But from time to time you will be spawned in jungle. In this scenario that I have going on here, it's a small map, and it's on prints and a couple other factors as well. You know, there's not too many people, so I'm kind of surprised I got the layout that I did, but it is what it is. I won't create any more settlers and whatnot. And also, before I forget, I'm going to tell you the recommended victories as Korea, and it's going to be somewhat obvious here. Obviously, number one is going to be science. I mean, your special stat is excellent for a scientific victory. The +2 science you get from those great percentile improvements and specialists can really help you get a lot of technologies researched. Due to this, you possibly will have an error or two ahead of other people, which is huge. Obviously, if you're playing on lower difficulties, don't expect that to happen. But this is a beginner guide, so please understand, for those that are watching that are expecting kind of like a deity level, you're not going to be an error or two ahead. You may be if you're doing really well, but otherwise don't expect that. But for those that are beginners, do expect to be an error or two ahead, and that's kind of the game plan as Korea. This is a highly recommended victory condition. Obviously you're going to want to build a lot of gold producing buildings, markets, banks, and whatnot to afford all the technological buildings that you do have. And in a scenario such as this, since there's tons of jungle, remember to build, once you have universities, remember to build them and do not cut down the jungles, and use trading posts to increase your science. So now the second one will be a diplomatic victory. Since you will be ahead of everyone in the technologies, you can quickly get currency and guilds to construct markets and eventually get banking and economics to speed up your gold per turn. And don't forget to have specialists to give up your science and the gold per turn in your cities. And with that gold, you can befriend any city-state to help you getting elected in the United Nations. And with that comes victory right there. And that also means that there's more votes for you and vote to no proposals that you disliked in the World Congress. So everything that you want will go. And then the next victory condition I'd recommend is Domination. Again, you can be ahead in technologies. This goes for getting the best technologies in the early, middle, and late game. You can get ironworking and machinery to get early good defenses and offenses. However, you have no stat domination. Also, since you can build markets and banks, put in specialists to boost your gold per turn so that you can also befriend the military city-states and even get units that your civilization can't get. And then obviously for those of you that do not know, like in these markets, in the workshop, not so much the workshop but the market here, you'll want to fill this, the empty specialist slot. You'll want people in there for your market to get gold to fund your military and dominate. Again, do not use turtle ships or the Hwacha to go to war with somebody, because those two units are defensive units. And then lastly is culture. Lastly, culture is possibly your weakest victory. I'm not saying that it's not possible here, as any victory condition is possible with any civilization, but you have no special stats for tourism or any of the sort as Seoul or as Korea, so I wouldn't do it. And then some of the added things that I will do here, again, I will go over the social policies that I recommend, but I'm also going to go a little bit more, because Try to Aim, or my collaborator here, goes into more depth with religion and pantheons, which is related to religion if you have Brave New World or Gods and Kings. I mean, you can get Korea, the DLC pack, without the two for, I believe it's, I might be wrong here, it's either $2.99 or $5.99 on Steam. I think I bought mine for like $1 maybe. It went on sale. If you do buy DLCs, I highly recommend you guys wait until they go on sale. But then it's worth it. But before then, I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna he goes in. We talked about pantheons, what to use and what to avoid. You're going to want to use God of the Messenger. Since you are the best civilization for a scientific victory, it is best to expand this trade by connecting cities to your capital with roads and also get additional gold. So, Messenger of the Gods will give you +2 science per trade route that you have, per connected to the city. So if I had multiple cities here, I'll give you a scenario. I won't play it out necessarily, just in terms of time here. Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted to do. Alright, well, I'll give you this scenario. I don't wanna make this video too long for you guys. So the settler here, right there, and the settler here. Let's say they built cities. I have 2 cities right here, and then I have a worker right here, connects a road to this city, and it connects to each other. That's going to give me some extra gold for the trade route, +2 research for the fact that we have a trade route together. So that's what you'll want. And then Gods of Craftsmen, you might be thinking production as Korea is useless, but it's not quite, because you can use that extra production to build some scientific buildings such as universities, schools, and other stuff as you progress through the game. Another one is Fertility Rites. You can grow your cities much faster, which means more citizens to use as specialists, and more specialists mean more gold and more science. Religious settlements, you will gain much faster border growth if you adopt this tradition, and again, the faster border growth is necessary, because if you're not going to have too many cities, chances are, if you're playing on a harder difficulty, if you're playing on a easier difficulty, you probably will have more cities, but having more land is always a good thing. This way you can get that aluminum that's over here, and you can also get the elephants for happiness, and amongst other things. And then the pantheons to avoid is Monument to the Gods. Even though people will say this is good for early game, that is what I am refuting against. However, the production from Gods of Craftsmen lasts forever in all the cities with at least 3 citizens in the city. This helps all the wonders to be finished faster rather than the only in ancient and classical era. And then Faith Healers, not a very good in my opinion if you're going for a domination victory. You won't be near your city for most of the time. You'll often be far from your cities trying to capture them, so why would you even go for it? And then religious beliefs. I'm only going to go over the first and second ones to get and avoid, just so that way this video doesn't get too long. Number 1 that you should get is church property. You will get +2 gold, and since you will be a small civilization, that is more gold in the to be gifting to cities-states in case you were going for a diplomatic victory. And then the ones that I wouldn't go for is going to be the guruship. Since you will require specialists to work on getting additional gold, culture, and science for scientific victory, have production along the way to speed up the construction of the wonders and defensive military you need. I just lied, because that's actually a good one, so ignore my comment there. I meant that was a good one for a follower belief. The founder belief is the church property, and then the follower belief, the one that you get additionally, would be the guruship, if you go that route. And then social policies that I would recommend, and Try to Aim would recommend, is going to be tradition. This is the first policy you want to aim for, and I will show you right here, because you're going to get some extra culture throughout the border. You'll be able to stay small. You'll be able to build wonders that you need for scientific purposes. You'll have some extra growth from the food that you get. Your capital can be huge. You can support extra specialists, and you won't get that unnecessary happiness that you get, and you also get some gold from it, and obviously you will be able to defend better with the garrisoned units. And then the next one I'd recommend is going to be Patronage. Why Patronage? Because you're going to get to be friends with city-states a lot more frequently. You'll be able to gift them gold and get more benefits out of it. You'll be able to get more happiness from the resources that they have, which is always good. Plus, if you're going for a diplomatic victory, you absolutely need patronage. You just about can't win a game without it, because you need just about every single state you can possibly get for those votes to be voted for you to win the World Congress, or later on, as I should say, the United Nations, considering that's where you need to be in order to win the game. And then lastly is going to be rationalism. These don't go in a descending order, so even though I said lastly, that doesn't mean that this is the thing that you should not strive for, because honestly this, in my opinion, is the highest one, because you're going to get 10% science while the Empire is happy, which you should always be happy. You'll get more science production from every specialist, so you can have them in the markets and still generating science. And obviously you're going to want to fill them up in the observatories, the libraries, the public schools, obviously. And then great scientists are earned 25% faster. You'll get more science out of trading posts and universities. Lastly, you're going to get a science boost, and then once you finish the entire tree, you get a free oh no, I lied. You don't get that free technology. I'm thinking of a prior version. Obviously, if you aren't up to date and you don't have Brave New World, you will get some new technologies. I believe it's 1 or 2 free technologies. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it's still that way. So that's going to cover all of that, and then just situations to avoid and how to suppress them. Do not keep building trading posts to get gold and science if you have the policy from the rationalism tree. Remember, you need farms to keep your cities growing and to be sure that your citizens do not die. So you want to make sure you're still boasting a large population. In a situation such as this, you'll probably want to build farms around this lake. Since it's fresh water, you're going to get some additional food out of those farms. And it might be a little advanced techniques there for those that are absolute beginners, but again, doing that will increase your food production, and in turn boost your population, and in turn even further will increase your smartness. But remember, you do want to keep these jungle tiles, for they will generate lots of science for you, and in turn also generate money. And then do not declare war on or capture cities you don't normally have. This will make you a warmongering menace, so if you're going for a diplomatic victory, you're going to be in trouble there, because you don't want to piss off those people that you're trying to have vote for you to become the leader if you're fighting everybody. So that's just a given. The only time you should attack and capture cities is to liberate them and remove warmongering penalties you may have already done. If you're in war, do not capture cities, just defend them. This is retaliating and will ruin your chances of winning a diplomatic victory. And then do not forget to use your specialists in buildings that uses specialists. What am I talking about? I'm talking about putting them in the market here, or later on, libraries and stuff. Things that have these little things there. You're going to want to fill them up to make sure that you get things. You will not make enough culture gold or even make enough science if you do not. And this goes for all civilizations. Do not denounce anybody unless other players denounce that person. Only do it if that person is absolutely hated. Let's say Montezuma is one of these people that's in my game, and everyone denounces them. Then you can go ahead and denounce them for that it's alright at that point. You can gain trust of the people that denounce that player, but if you denounce them without reason, it hurts your chances at a diplomatic victory, and it's just not even worth it at all. Just don't even do it if it's just kind of back and forth between 2 to 3 people when you're in a game of like 10 people. And then only put science wonders in your capitals. You may have multiple cities your capital. CL should only be constantly working on wonders. This guy should be just a wonder pump, if you want to call it that. And then this city here that would come, and this one here, would produce the defensive units and some other buildings as well. Obviously, you're going to want to have some production buildings in Seoul, and then you build the wonders, because otherwise you're never actually going to complete the wonder, but that's a given. And then an important thing to remember is if a science wonder is not built in your capital, you will get the benefits, but you will not get the tech boost. Your other cities should work on defensive military, as I said previously. So this video was way longer than I normally do, but again, since I'm in collaboration with Try to Aim, I wanted to make sure his points were all stated out as long as mine are. I still may make my own guide. I probably won't. I'll probably leave it to Try to Aim. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you guys enjoyed this guide.